Okay, welcome back for another video. This time I am going to talk about how to work with the company file when you are working through the chapter and the exercises. I will have a separate video when you work with the project. So what I'm going to do is go over how to work with the data starter files. We are going to actually go through the steps for starting up your company file for Chapter 4. The publisher gave you files. They are QBB, they are backup files. What they do is they can go ahead and back up the company into a single file so they can transport it to another computer. They put it on a DVD for us. We copied it to a flash drive. So what we're going to do is go ahead and restore this company file so that we can go ahead and work with it in QuickBooks. So what I'm going to do here is launch QuickBooks. Now what I'm going to do is for every single chapter that I go ahead and work with, I'm going to start for Chapter 4, I'm going to start and restore the Chapter 4 data starter file. When I get to Chapter 5, I'm going to restore the Chapter 5 data starter file, and so forth. So that means that each time you're going to go ahead and start with a clean, fresh file. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open QuickBooks here. Whoops. There we go. Sometimes you will notice more companies. I went ahead and cleared most of my list. But for the purpose of starting a chapter, you want to go ahead and restore. So we're going to go open or restore an existing company. I click on that. Restore now. Where are you going to find these actual directions? On page 1.10, there are written directions on how to restore. I'm just going to take you through them really quickly, but in there you have the written directions. Restore backup, next. Local backup, next. Where is that file located? Okay, so I got to go out here and find it. It's on my USB. It is in the accounting, student data files. Here are all my backup files that are created from the publisher. We want to restore Chapter 4. Chapter 4 data file, I say open. Where do you want to restore this file? Next. It says, now when you restore a data file, especially for the chapter, it does go ahead and want to put it into the exact same folder that you have that backup file in. So I just want to show you here. If you look down to what is highlighted, Gardner USB O, ACCT105, and then the student data files. That is where your restored company is going to go ahead and end up. So down here, I just want to go ahead and put the file name. I'm going to go ahead and put Jennifer Gardner, CH, for Chapter 4, and then just go ahead and say save. Now this will go ahead and restore that company data file so that I can actually record entries, record payroll, whatever I have to go ahead and do, so that I can work with it. So this is going to take a little bit of time. What I want you to do is open your book to page 4.4. So starting the chapter, I don't want you to take the workflow approach. I want you to restore a clean copy. It's going to ask you for a password. Just say okay. There's no password on this. Say yes. And it's going to go ahead and continue updating. The only thing that I do want you to do in here is you need to go ahead and give the company a name. So way at the bottom of page 4.4, after you go ahead and restart and restore, step number 2, it says company name. They want you to include your name, Chapter 4. So I'm going to kind of just go over that really quickly. You've been doing this all along. But we got to wait for it to go ahead and restore this company file. When you work through the chapter, we're going to disregard all of the backups that they want us to take, all the restoring of the files that they want to take. I want to make it as easy as possible and less time consuming for you to work with QuickBooks. We can always go ahead and start with a fresh copy in the next chapter. So don't worry about backing it up. We're not going to lose that much, especially for the purposes of learning. We will deal with the backup and restore of a company when we deal with the project files. So we'll just wait here, 75% complete. Anytime you want something to go fast, it doesn't want to go fast. It's almost like watching paint dry. Anyway, we're almost done here. Okay, it is going to use a sample file. That's perfectly fine. We just go ahead and say OK. It'll say it's been successfully restored. We say OK again. Now we come into the familiar Account Center homepage and so forth. I can go ahead and close the Account Center. Up on the top it says Sample Your Name. Now on that step 2 it says we want to go ahead and update the company name. Go to Company, My Company. Over here on the right you have the Edit. You click on that and you update it with your name. Along with chapter 4. We say OK. Make sure it changes here. Sometimes it doesn't. Geez, I forget the R. Go ahead and try that again. Say OK. And there it goes ahead and updates the company information, which updates the information at the top there. So I'm going to go ahead and escape out of there. That's what you're going to do to go ahead and start. Now you're going to go through and work through all the pages. Okay, go ahead and turn to page 4.27. Down on the bottom, they deal with printing the journal entries. Okay, well, we can't go ahead and print a hard copy because this is an online course. So you want to go ahead and print it to a spreadsheet because that's how you're going to go ahead and submit it. So if we go to the reports over here in the icon bar, down there we're going to go ahead and print journal entries. We go to the reports. We select, let's see, the accounting and taxes. And what they want in here is they want to go ahead and select a journal. So I'm just going to scroll down here. And they want for 12/15 to 12/17. So I don't know what's going to go ahead and come up here because we didn't actually enter any entries. I didn't do any of the assignments. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, so there are some entries in here. So we have the journal. It says Jennifer Gardner, Chapter 4, the journal, December 15th through the 17th. Now what we want to do is get this report into Excel. To go ahead and follow these directions, if you go ahead and write down page 1.38, it has step-by-step instructions for you there. But I'm going to go ahead and bring you through them visually. You always want to go ahead and select Create New Worksheet. On this very next screen that comes up, always select Replace an existing worksheet. Then it says Select a workbook. So I'm going to go ahead and browse. I am going to locate the flash drive that I have, the Gardner USB Drive O, ACCT105, Student Data Files. In here, you will find your report. So I'm going to locate the Chapter 4 reports. I can double click or click and say Open. And then I'm going to select a sheet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also open this file and show you, actually it's going to come open in shortly. But here is the Instructions tab. Here's the Chapter 4 reports. Down here we have Chapter 4 Journal. Chapter 4 column, or I don't know what the COL means right offhand. Chapter 4, Customer Summary Report. Now we have the exercises. How you read these is exercise 4.3, task 3, customer report. Here we have exercise 4.3, task 7, journal. Now we get down to here, we have the projects. So we have project 4, step number 7, an invoice report. Project 4, step number 8. Okay, and so on. So it just goes all the way down as far as what reports we have. We're going to go ahead and export it into this same report, going through chapter 4 and the projects. So once we go ahead and select the chapter 4 journal, the very first time you always want to go ahead and check this advanced tab. Very, very important. So when you start a project, I see it even more important. It seems like when I restore the data file, this is unchecked, this is unchecked, and this is actually set. When I start a project, these items are selected, and then I have some problems with the exporting. So I got to make sure that space between columns is unchecked, include QuickBooks Export Guide is unchecked, and down here we want this show the report header on the printed report and the screen. And then I just go ahead and say OK. I probably will never have to check that advanced tab again. If I close out of QuickBooks and I come back in, I do check. But if I continue working, I don't ever check that again. I go ahead and say export. So what that's going to do is automatically open up Excel, export this report into Excel, and allowing me to see this report in that Excel file. So if you notice down on the bottom, you put it into the chapter 4 journal. You will notice this one and this one and this one, these tabs are all blank in. But the chapter 4 journal has this report in there now. Now it may ask me to go ahead and highlight something. If it does, just click, drag, and then go up here and highlight. Fill in the color. If you make a mistake, you just select what you want and then go to no fill. Okay? You always want to make sure that you close and save your Excel file before you go back to QuickBooks and export another file. So I'm just going to close here, save it. It'll take a little bit to save, and then you would just go on to the next. So whatever report you wanted to go ahead and take. Let me see what other reports that they have. Okay, well, let's say, for example, I get done. I don't want to go into this anymore. I want to take a break. I'm on page, let's see, where's 4.1? Okay, on page 4.37. We're going ahead and we're ending with working through all the chapter. Let's see. Actually, down on page 4.33, turn to that page. It'll say that they want you to save a backup. I don't want you to do that. Don't worry about any backups in this course. If you are going to keep working through the entire chapter, leave this file open. Go ahead and skip down to page 4.35. Just go ahead and go up to the company, My Company, Edit, and go ahead and put exercise 4.1. Leave this particular file open. Don't worry about it. Say OK. You go down, you get to task 2 on page 4.35. Go ahead and start adding a customer. Create an invoice. You get your invoice done. Page 4.37. Don't worry about the backup. You go ahead, you export whatever you have to export if there is any exporting. If there isn't, you just go up to Company, My Company, And now I'm on 4.2, which that goes ahead and starts on the top of page 4.38. Say OK. You go down, start on task 2, record customer credit, and go on. You're going to save a ton of time and a lot of frustration. Okay, so you won't have that frustration going ahead and kicking you in the butt here. Now let's say I take a break. I get to, I still have 4.3 to do on page 4.41, way up in the upper right-hand corner. Just go ahead and close out of QuickBooks. I take a break, I go eat, go to sleep. Okay, I need to go ahead and work on this next day. What I do is I usually put a sticky note right on that page, start here. I come back the next day, I open QuickBooks. If you are on the same computer, your file will be listed at the top of that list. If you end up going on a different computer, then you're just going to go ahead and open this file. So I'll kind of go through both ways and just show you. It does take a little bit of time to open the file, or open QuickBooks actually. Okay, so I just worked on Jennifer Gardner, Chapter 4. I can go ahead and say open if I'm on the same computer. For those of you that go into a lab, you're going to go open a company file, say next, browse out to your student data files, and what you're going to see is this. QBW file, QuickBooks company file. When you restore, it does put 5 separate files out there for you. All those files are needed in the background. But the one that you're going to restore is a QuickBooks company file. But I'm going to cancel out of here because I don't need to do it there. I can do it right here at my main screen and just say open. No restore, nothing. Just opening the file. I go to my sticky note. I go to page 4.41. And I continue on. And then when I want to go ahead and export, you know, just make sure that you update your company name, 4.3, and you go on. If you have any questions whatsoever, just let me know. But while you're working through here, don't worry about any backups. Don't worry about any restores. The only restore you're going to do is at the complete beginning of the chapter. Thank you. I will have another video dealing with the projects.